Hi, Sean.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. Yourself?
What'd you say? Sorry.
So I'm all right. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
I've been working on a mobile app. I think I'll have the local storage story done by Monday.
Oh, what's this app now?
What's that?
What's this app now?
Oh, this is for the videographers, photographers.
Oh, that one. Okay, so it's the same app.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I
Cool.
gotta wire up the user profile, like activity stuff. I gotta implement saving data for that, and then I'll be done with all the local saving for the offline. And then after that, I gotta create a server, and then start adding save stuff to support community sharing.
Kind of sounds like you need to get into some agentic development here.
Well, my plan was to release the mobile app, the first version, and then sit down and figure out this agentic development after I
Yeah,
release it.
you might be putting the cart before the horse. I mean, like, if you figure out the agentic stuff, it can rapidly help you, solve the actual data to release. I think. I mean, it depends on your comfort level of what you're willing to out there. But
when Odie tried to sit me down and we were using Gemini CLI, I was just confused. I didn't understand the console window. I didn't understand it at all. It was just doing stuff, and I didn't know what it was doing. I couldn't. I hated the UX. It didn't make sense to me. It just seemed very foreign. I didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like going onto ChatGPT and then telling it to do stuff, and it just goes off and does stuff, right? So, I don't know. I feel very comfortable with the CLI versions. I actually like it more than the UI versions. Although I think that maybe you get more context with Claude Desktop, using Claude Code and Claude Desktop, so that could be worth a try. The other thing is you could just start with that and then have the agent build an experience you want, and then use that experience. So, dude, the world of software, it's cheap now to build stuff. So it'll be buggy as sin, but it just needs to work for you. So, and then you could fix it. And then you could, if you want to structure a certain way, you train it on all of your repositories for the patterns you like for F# and stuff like that. And just be like, here, go and scan all of these repos that I have from my GitLab. Download them locally, run them through, tell it to look at the patterns that you use, and develop agents that work within those patterns, sub-agents. And then you can actually just tell the sub-agents, hey, go and pretend to be me, and here's the context that you need. And then
is it able to generate README files after it generates a piece of functionality and then summarizes the functionality that it recently just created or built, and then documents that summary as a README for future development activities?
Yeah. I mean, that's a strategy that people are using. A big shift right now that we're getting is that I think people are trying to move towards spec-driven development. where all they do is write readmes, basically. Not readmes, but they you define a very detailed spec, and then you feed it the agent, and the agent goes off and does the code. And then you do a spec change, and then the spec change will cause the agent to go and determine what impact there is there. Actually, there was this cool thing that OpenAI put out called Symphony. If you go onto their GitHub repo and look for OpenAI Symphony, they have it. But one of the coolest things I saw about there is when you go to their README file in GitHub, you'd scroll down. They're like, okay, you can use our reference implementation here, which is based on Elixir, or here's the spec, go build your own. And so you can actually just download a big markdown file that they have, and then drop it into, drop it in your thing. Be like, write this in F# and, not Xamarin, but a mobile app or something like that, or build a desktop app for it, or whatever tech stack you want. And then it just is supposed to go off and apply the spec and do the work. So it's pretty neat. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we might be getting, go to a world where we actually don't even see the code anymore. If we can get it so that it's good enough, it's still so buggy. But the problem with specs and stuff, right, is always the code and the spec getting out of sync, right? But now we can kind of solve that, or if we just say we don't write code anymore and we just write specs, and we force us to find a way that when we write the spec, the code will be generated from it perfectly. That would solve that problem, because you still now only have to worry about one source of truth, right? Not two. So, and then your documentation is all in one place, all of your rules, all your invariants, all of your requirements, all of your ontology, the whole thing that the system is meant to be is right there. So
what are you building?
What am I not building? I've built I've started like 20 different prototypes in the last 2 weeks. I've been actually I was playing with this idea of this thing I was thinking, basically like an agent swarming thing, what I was calling octopus architecture, which is train an agent to work on a small vertical slice and then only allow that agent to work in that vertical slice. We talked about maybe a developer should own a single service, or they are the sole owner of it, so they can keep their mental model. I was trying to model that out with AI, where you an agent is the owner of this. They get to decide everything about it, other than what's constrained by the, core brain or whatever. And so the idea is that it's the arms of the octopus, have you ever looked into octopus physiology?
I've watched a documentary on it, but I don't really remember. I thought that they had they kind of have two brain.
They have
they have multiple cognitive. They have multiple cognitive systems.
Yeah, they have multiple. Yeah, they have a brain per arm, and then a central brain, and then their mRNA allows them to actually change their physiology, it'll actually change it entirely. But that's how they shift their colors and stuff, is that they've rewritten their DNA.
I mean, I think I told you that I think two creatures that we see here on Earth, I think they descended from aliens. One is octopus, the other one is Japanese. So
I gotcha. But anyways, yeah. So I was reading this. I listened to this book on the plane ride home last week called the Octopus Organization, but it was there is a book called The Octopus Organization, but this was an in the world of AI type version of it. And that's where I got my head spinning about trying to model octopus physiology into software development, but I didn't get very far. So then I looked at different things for actually doing specs. And then did you ever get into model driven development at any point, or know people that were into it, where the idea was that engineers or architects would like this is the ivory tower architect era. Like architects will diagram everything and then they'll click and then the code will just go build, you know? But then it never worked because as soon as software engineers hit like an edge case, they had to adjust for it, and then like diagrams went out of date, and it's just like code syncing and engineering. Um, I've started to think about trying to see if that model is now viable. Now that AI agents can just keep things up to date, so like why not just model the system? Although it kind of runs counter to the agentic stuff, where why not just let the agent decide how to model the system based on your requirements and don't care so much about it? But I don't know, dude. I'm excited. Like, there's a moment. I should send you this article. There's a moment when you do this stuff, like there's despair for a little while. Like, oh my God, my job's going to be gone. I'm screwed type of a thing. And then there's this moment where you just get this like, oh my God, it's fun to develop again because I can just iterate so fast and actually get to end states so much quicker. Like I can just prototype anything quickly, you know?
Yeah,
And
but
vibe coding is a lot more fun. It is.
the thing is there's still no jobs.
There will be. The thing is, we're in a shift, right?
There's
So
no jobs.
AI
There's
is
no
gonna.
jobs for Americans.
Oh, yes, there is.
There will be for foreigners that have AI that work for a third of the price. So
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is the currency we're going to start working in isn't like we're taking people out of software programming, right? We're not programmers anymore. Like programming was part of our job. Programmers, what we were.
there's going to be a surge of women now in the software industry. Before, the surge of women entering the software industry was for Scrum Masters.
Yeah.
Now they get to write specifications.
So. Yeah, but the thing is AI can write specifications too. So I've actually realized that what really we need to get to, I think that the fundamental thing is that it's all human conversation and interaction that needs to be captured, like at the source. If you can just capture that, like almost everything else can be like reduced from it, right? So thing like filter, map, reduce, like so. Like you and I, if we were building a product together, we might have a conversation about like, oh, what's the rule for this, right? And what's the rule for this, and what's the rule for this, and how do we think this should work? And you know, we might do some screen sharing and you know, go through a prototype and be like, let's change this, or whatever. That's the conversation where all the decisions are made, and then you know, from that then derives all the rest of the next work. But if we could just tap AI into those conversations up front, like, shouldn't it just be able to derive the work then from the conversation as soon as you're done? Like, because right now we do like, if we're on Google, you know, whatever, we could do an AI summary of what we did after the fact, but take that and turn it into a mining operation for requirements and system change requests, and then just have it go and do those things automatically. I was thinking about this like last night about building a tool.
I don't think so. It still, as of today, still requires thoughtful design or thoughtful architecture. You don't know how many times I have to tell Gemini to stop adding UI dependencies to my view models. That's an example.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you're doing that, you need to get into agentic stuff because you set those rules. In fact, you can just create a sub agent that has that very explicit rule just for creating view models, and then just say use the view model sub agent to build the view models, and it just follow. And you can, in your Claude MD file or your Codex MD file, whatever, you can just set a global rule that says never do this, like very strictly. And it does a pretty good job at not doing it, like because it's always in the context when it first pops in. So you don't need to remember to tell it to do it after the fact. you just bake it into the operating system. Oh, I don't know what just happened. My monitors just flipped. You still there?
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, I must have turned off my power strip for a second, but my battery was still running on my laptop, so it was all worked out.
Get
But yeah.
in my belly.
So I mean, like, dude, I was at a offsite all last week, and this is all we basically talked about. Was like, it was an AI team offset type thing, and we're at the point in the organization that I'm in now where, like, you're not doing manual coding anymore. Like, like you still dig in. You have to review code and all that, and you can still shape the architecture and all of that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, you're not dipping into the code very much anymore. Like, it's agentic AI development first, and we fall back to all of the old ways later. There's some other things that we're doing too that are, starting to get more bolder, but I think organizations will start shaping, and I think engineers are going to become product engineers, and it's going to be more about being a full owner of things rather than being like all of these like trade-offs and handoffs and all of this stuff, and people doing like, individual roles. Everything is going to start blurring. Dude, it's exciting though.
Anthropic is actually making a profit.
I don't know. I don't care. Like, it's,
Well,
yeah. I know that the token usage.
Hold on, wait. If it's the future, but the suppliers of compute for AI are losing money, then it's not sustainable, right? That's why I asked: is Anthropic actually making a profit?
Yeah, I don't think so, because they're still in startup mode, so they're still getting VC money. Like, they just closed VC money recently, giant raise. I think it was a huge raise, wasn't it? I know OpenAI just had like $110 billion raise.
They got another round of funding?
No. Okay, so Anthropic raised a $30 billion Series G funding in February. But I think, like I said, OpenAI's was $110 billion.
They had 7 rounds of funding.
Yeah, but like, the thing is then I think that the cost right now is it's GPUs and it's energy, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I think if you look at the data center thing that Trump is doing, I don't know, that kind of like fell off the back of the State of the Union address, but he's allowing data center companies to build their own energy facilities, so that they not only power theirs, but then push the energy back in the grid. And so people aren't going to be paying for the costs of things. So he's opening up their ability to get those power grids built a lot faster for themselves. I think that will actually reduce the costs dramatically, but we'll see. But also, I don't know that cloud LLMs are the future. I think maybe eventually here we'll get into local models and mostly use local models and only use the faraway models for expense. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe in the future, what you'll have in your home is a very small, very powerful computer that everyone just sets up, and they've got their own LLM in a box, and it's a central server in their home, and it runs everything. Like, I don't think that's a far-fetched idea. Be really cool too then if you could just plug into a system and offload your compute when you're not using it. So like your compute gets prioritized in your home, then you can actually offer it up to a system, and then I don't know. There might be difficulties with that, but like I said, there's going to be all sorts of new jobs that come out of AI. We just haven't gotten to what those are going to be. Like, people are going to find what they are, and people are going to transform. There's going to be new things. It's just going to be a lot less knowledge work and more real, like, I shouldn't say knowledge work, but lot less just tedious generation and more like real work, I guess. So
I just asked, does Anthropic generate a profit from AI computing services? And I'm waiting for it. It says no. As of early 2026, Anthropic does not yet generate a profit from its AI computing services. While the company is bringing in a staggering amount of money, the sheer cost of developing and running frontier AI models currently outweighs their income. Here's the breakdown. So they say as of March 26, Anthropic's annualized revenue run rate is reportedly nearing $20 billion, up from around $9 billion at the end of 2025.
wow.
A massive chunk of this comes from B2B API access and enterprise subscriptions, with major companies opting to integrate Claude into their workflows. In February 2026, the company raised a massive $30 billion in Series G funding, bringing in its post-money valuation to roughly $380 billion. Why aren't they profitable? Despite making billions, the economics of frontier AI are notoriously punishing. Anthropic's expenses are heavily concentrated in a few key areas: compute costs, top tier talent, um, infrastructure expansion. In regards to top tier talent, the battle for elite AI researchers and engineers is fierce, leading to a massive payroll. Leading to massive
Become an
payroll.
elite. You need to become an elite. There you go. There's your next thing. Become an elite AI researcher.
Okay, I'll go back to the university and get my PhD. I'm on the major AI field.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure half those people don't have PhDs. Some of them do, but some of them are just good.
yeah. So there's a reason why, like I mentioned, this is as amazing as the technology is, as amazing as the company is, as amazing as the marketing is. If it's not generating profit, it's not sustainable. And so there's a caveat to that, because you could say that, well, it took Amazon maybe 15 years for them to generate profit. That's a fair argument, but, but Amazon is a separate case study, right? I'm sure Amazon had, well, one is a different business model. It's a different.
That's the same though for every startup. Like anyone that's doing fundraising, for the most part, is not profitable. Like to start, and you can't, like, profitability has to come once you work out, all of the things that you try. And if they're doing research, like, they could probably stop doing new research and just say, you know what, it's done. Like, this LLM's in place. They dropped their entire research costs, and now they're just down to compute. And if they invested in sustainable, like, self funded, or like solar panels and stuff like that for the compute, and they got those built out, and then it's just ongoing maintenance of that compute data center.
No,
So
no.
yeah,
The what I could see them doing that will get them closer to profitability, else break even, is adopt the Amazon Prime model. So upfront, get your, let's say, get your $250 annual membership, and then you pay a monthly subscription. If, as I understand it, if there really is an insane productivity gain from using this technology, then
that's already what Anthropic does, though.
Then people are going to be willing to pay like $250 flat fee annually, in addition to their monthly credits, the fee for that. I don't. No solar panels, right? The only other option that I see is a nuclear nuclear power plant
or fusion. Yeah, but nuclear is probably and
fusion is not going to be here for another 20 years, if that.
There's factories being built right now to build Gen 4 nuclear reactors. Like, look it up. It's a thing. And Gen 4 nuclear reactors are safe. They're like small. They're you know whatever. The problem with building a nuclear factory today is you got to have a big environmental study. You got to find where you're going to put it. You know, it's always a custom build. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar investment project, right? But
Well,
Gen 4 reactors can be
that's
built in a
any
factory.
that's any power plant, regardless of if it's nuclear or not.
Yeah.
I think
But Gen 4 reactors they're safe and like they've been engineered to be safe, and they're smaller and they can come out of a factory. Like we can replicate the pattern. And
yeah.
I mean, I think that we're going to invest a lot more in solar for sure, just because the sun's got extraordinary amounts of energy, more energy than we need. We just, you know, it's just takes up a lot of space to harness it, and it's unreliable.
Sean,
But
how long do you think that's going to take? Like my whole point, I'm okay with being wrong. I'm wrong a lot.
yeah,
But the point that I'm trying to drive that I need help understanding is there's so much money being injected into Anthropic and OpenAI. We're not going to have the technology to power this stuff. It after how much time do investors lose money that they finally say, you know what, I can't do this? How long does it take to set up a nuclear power plant? If I could guess, it's probably at least. If I could guess, it's
well,
probably at least. It's probably at least 7 years, at least.
well, that's what I was saying. I don't think it's going to be that long for the Gen 4 reactors when they're getting. But that's just one.
Let's fact check it. Let's fact check it.
That's just one. That's just well, once they get the production like commoditized or whatever, it won't take very long. But the thing is the money. I think a lot of the money is going into data center building right now. That's actually propping up the economy in a huge way.
Nuclear
and energy is a core part of that. And so and it's not just nuclear and solar. I mean, they're going for wind. They're going to go for hydroelectric, which again, environmental studies type stuff. So if we can get beyond if we can allow us to suspend these harsh environmental rules, which is why, like I said, I think that Trump is doing that.
I mean, Trump probably would do it, but the whatever power center or power plant they have, it has to be. Yeah, it says 9 to 11 years, not the 7 years that I said. One of the most precious thing, I think, my ignorance tells me, is drinking water, and they need to be like 90%, probably higher, efficient with cooling down their systems with recycling that drinking water. Which I'm not sure if they have the technology to do that.
It'll get built then. Like we have an infinite supply of water on this planet.
You put a lot of faith in humanity.
I do. The thing is I like. I want to believe that we live in a world where not everything's doom and gloom and stuff like that. Like I want to believe that we're trying. Whoa! What the hell just happened? Hello?
I'm here.
I'm not hearing you anymore. Did my battery die?
No, your computer's having issues. I'm here. Your headset, you can't hear me at all. ... You can't hear me at all.
Why did I go to mute?
I hear you now.
Okay. But like, remember when we were like, you hear about your kids or like your parents stuff. Well, I don't know about you, but like the whole thing about building the space program and competing with the Soviets and like putting energy into technology and discovery and building, like, dude, that we're in like a golden era of that. We're in a whole new world.
Do you know what the difference is?
Well, just let me finish this point. Like,
I'm sorry.
They're discovering new like algorithms for pathfinding and things that we've thought. They're finding new novel ways using AI to improve efficiencies and stuff across the board. Like, because the bottleneck was always humans can't iterate fast enough to try different patterns and just create a bunch of patterns and see what works. AI can do that now. And so this is an exponential growth thing. It's going to solve itself. And I'm pretty confident in that. But I like the idea of like, this harmony between, like you talked about energy, water, and data centers and compute and all that. Like there's probably a world where data centers become like used for city heating. So the radiation and the heat that comes out of those are either actually just funneled back into the system for heat for cities. Like if we can get into the nuclear thing, that's the big thing, is we've got to get into nuclear, at least for now, until we can solve the solar nut.
There's
like you can build these like whole cities probably just based around the idea of large AI data centers.
Nope. My ignorance tells me the following. The only way that this is achievable and profitable is it's a government effort. So when you mentioned like space, and I'm not sure if you said going to the moon or whatever, a private company would never be able to do that. I believe the government allocated 25% of their GDP in the 1960s for the Apollo program. Like that is a government effort. A government effort, it takes tax dollars at gunpoint. If you don't pay your taxes to fund this, you're going to jail. And it puts those funds towards something that the government, something that generates trillions of dollars or is willing to spend trillions of dollars, right, to achieve. That's not an individual business or company. So I can agree. A country, as in a country's federal government, would have to influence that to happen.
And we already are.
That's that. When the administration changes every 4 years, ask NASA what their track history is with the programs that they start or initiate, right? So that's one. Two is the other part. And it goes back to a federal government, right? Whether it's China, United States, etc. There's actually 3 points. Two is we discussed energy. It doesn't have to be nuclear power. It could be, I don't know, securing oil fields by a federal government.
It's all of the above, for energy. Yep.
So meaning you go into another country, you secure their oil reserves, and you use that to power your needs so that you basically get a discount on computing. So again, that's another federal government initiative. The third one, and this is my thesis, right? The third one is the following. As an engineer, you try to figure out how to be resourceful, and you start asking questions of, right now, everything we discuss, or maybe everything I discuss, is how do you fund this? Maybe a tangent of that is, how do you reduce the cost of it, right? So how, and I think with the Chinese company, I forgot their name, they took, and there's a specific
Baidu.
No, you're getting close though. This happened like 6 months ago. But they took like OpenAI's model and they trained off of that, which gave them DeepSeek. Thank you.
DeepSeek is free too, so it's open source.
Yeah. So, but DeepSeek they figured out how to reduce the cost of computing. One of which is they had a more efficient LLM based on the constraints that they were under. And two is they took another company's research and output of the LLM, and they trained off of that instead of investing the same amount of $4 million every 2 or 3 months. No, 4 million? Yeah, I think maybe it's 4 million every 2 or 3 months for their own model. So those are at least 3 factors, I think, in order to make it profitable. Reduce the cost of computing, reduce the cost of training your models, secure, another part is government intervention. no private company is going to be able to fund this. I don't even think Amazon could be able to fund this. It has to be a government effort to
No, it
realize
is
to
being
realize.
funded right now by VC. Like it is being funded by VC right now. But I'm thinking that what it will end up being is SpaceX model, like right. So the government will be involved. The government's role right now is to get out of the way and to make it so that we can actually invest without having all of the restrictions that we had on companies today, because the game has changed. Like the game has absolutely changed. So the American people, our government, which like it's our government. It's not the other way around. The federal government doesn't own us, right? It's the collective will of the people. That's what democracy or republics are. It's voting. You got to secure that. This is why the Save Act is really important, because you have to make that a thing, right? You have to secure the election. Otherwise, we don't actually have that capability. And regardless of what you think, like I think, like I live in Minnesota, I'm at extreme odds with the Minnesota state government in terms of the way that they process things and stuff. But I choose to live here, and I choose to live in a very liberal state, and that's fine. Like whatever. But like I said, I think that Trump, if we didn't have Trump right now, I think that we would be going in a very, very, very different direction, because he's unlocking this for companies. Like he knows that this is a strategic thing that America needs to invest in if they want to be, and they have to be the leading edge on it. And it's an important. It's almost like an arms race. Like you have to do this.
No. So again, I'm going back to my original point. An administration is only 4 years. It could stretch to 8 years, but it's 4 years.
Yeah.
Within 4 years, a new administration can adjust course whenever they want, based on campaign promises. You also take into consideration the government shutdown that seems like it pops up like every 6 months or every 12 months, right? That is a cost savings measure. They're going to say what is absolutely essential and what's nice to have. And you start picking out the nice to have stuff and you cross it out and you stop investing in it. I don't think it's as easy as you think it is.
No, it's not easy. It's potentially very brittle. And you can see this in Europe. I think in some of the European countries right now, they're actually trying to like ban, they're trying to protect people's jobs, right? And ban AI from being used in ways that affect people's jobs, which isn't the way that we need to think. We need to believe that either jobs will emerge, new jobs, better jobs will emerge, or that jobs will not be needed because it compounds upon itself. Like you think about like farming, right? And the thing is right now there's a lot of art to it. It's not a lot of hard science, and people are working on hard science. But with AI, that can explode. Like there's things like that they're doing, and I actually these are some out of some of these books that I've read, like smart farming, where you use drones, you use data capture with devices, you do edge compute, feed that into a technology and intelligence, and now you don't need to waste like, hey, we're getting bugs in this area. Let's go and instead of just flatly like spraying pesticides across the entire field in a shock and awe type thing, like, well, let's just focus on identifying where the crops are actually getting infested with bugs and just pesticide that area, which saves just extreme amounts of things. And this is happening like with intelligent systems like this. Companies are doing it where it's like, okay, farmers, you're only going to pay for what our system helped you succeed in farming better. Like, and so farmers will be able to use technology to vastly improve our food production cycle and eliminate hunger worldwide. I'm absolutely confident on that.
I'm confident that this is here to stay with the military. I'm not confident that we're going to solve this even in the next 4 years.
Well, yeah, it's going to take. But the thing is it's an exponential growth, and that's what people don't understand. This is exponential. It's self-compounding.
Yeah, yeah, it's analogous to Moore's law. I get that. I understand that. I appreciate that. Um, there's something else that you mentioned in regards to like unemployment. What you said is valid, but dude, everything is being automated. You take into consideration your parents, my parents, how they were likely able to. Well, first of all, did your parents own a home?
Yeah, they own a home. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they still do. Not did.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
As do I.
I think it's more and more common for
They'll
parents
co-own it, right?
of this generation for elementary schools. Like, I think it's fair to say that the majority of them aren't homeowners. I think it's fair to say that the majority of them probably live in apartments, right? Anyway, I'll say all this because, dude, it's when you become when technology increases efficiency across the whole spectrum of job sectors, with emphasis on efficiency, what jobs can be produced that could sustain 340 million people? Or let's say 40% of that is adults.
Yeah.
Like it's maybe in 20 years we have new jobs for new problems that need to be like addressed or maintained. I don't see it in the next 8 years. I don't.
Well, and that's the thing about the self-compounding thing. And like I said, I want to believe and live in the camp, the Elon Musk camp of that. This is a bright thing. It's going to like, and yeah, you can live in the doom and gloom world, but it's going to be painful. But if you actually lean into it and say, no, this is actually going to be a massive leap forward for humanity, and believe that it's self-compounding, and that we're going to solve the problems along the way and not just push ourselves back into and try to keep existing paradigms. Like if you can get to there, like SpaceX, for instance, it was VC funded. The government pays for a lot of it, right? Subsidizes a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And but that investment, what has it gained us? It's gained us Starlink. It's gained us the ability to get into space, potentially a moon base, like self like they went and solved the problem of self landing and reuse of rockets. Like that was thought, like nobody believed that could be done. Like the NASA, like this is a fool's errand. Like we're not going to be able to do this. We can't reuse rockets. They're one and done. Like the complexity of that is beyond, but they solved it, right? And it's a repeatable process now, and that opens up a lot more. Now we have global internet connectivity all the time.
But what's the difference? The difference is that's not a consumer focused business. It's government.
Yeah, Starlink is.
It's not consumer.
Starlink is 100%, and it was enabled by the other technology. But so here's the play out.
No, wait. Let's take what you said. Okay, so we'll go with Starlink. Right, we're going to be accountants. What percentage of return on investment has Starlink yield for the cost of research, development, and execution of bring these rockets up and down and maintaining them?
Quite a bit, probably.
I guarantee you Starlink doesn't. I guarantee you Starlink doesn't even pay for 5%. I guarantee you that it doesn't. I promise you, it doesn't.
So Starlink, according to ChatGPT, Starlink appears to be profitable or very close to profitability. It took several years of huge investments to get there, but it's making SpaceX profitable. They're estimating 11 to 15 billion in annual revenue from Starlink in the mid 2020s, and SpaceX is going public, right? I believe. Are they IPOing soon?
I don't think it was
And they're
space.
doing funds.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was SpaceX. I think it was another one of his companies.
Yeah, XAI investment into SpaceX stake ahead of IPO. So
Okay.
they are IPOing,
So
which is going to have a huge public. Now you're opening it up outside of private markets. Now the public can invest in it, right?
yeah.
And that'll just compound their ability to become even more profitable because they'll use that investment to solve unprofitability problems, and they'll exponentially grow. But
yeah, but my point was that Starlink hasn't even made a dent in the upfront costs for research, development, maintenance, and altogether execution of these rockets.
yeah, now they have to pay dividends. They have to pay distributions. Like they have to pay back to investors.
It was a government effort for
Was,
for SpaceX to be profitable. It wasn't Starlink. It was the government, the federal government. And that's my argument. It all goes back, and maybe you are agreeing with me. We're just communicating it differently.
Yeah.
That
I am agreeing with you. It's part of it. It's an essential part. The government has to invest in it and get out of its way, and that's what it's trying. That's what it has to do with data centers. Like it has to allow cheap energy to be constructed and remove the environmental constraints on it, and try to get to a point where. And I don't think these companies they're all led by futurists and humanists. I think a lot of them are anyways, and they're not going to go out there and be like, let's destroy the environment to get to this end. I mean, some of them will, but I think that a lot of them are very conscious about let's build this as a sustainable thing. And that's not just pumping oil out of the ground and using it. It's investing in real sustainable technology that's cheap and free, because that's profitable. Cheap and free, like energy is very profitable, right? But I think let's bring this back to a foundational level. The big concern is AI replaces jobs, right? Those new jobs don't materialize to replace the old jobs, reduces your consumer base. Nobody can buy anything that AI produces now, and now the whole system just dies, right? Because it's a loop cycle, right?
at a high level, I mean, the only jobs that I forecast to be created are jobs to maintain these systems, jobs to provide security that these systems have exposed, vulnerabilities, and that's it, dude. I see driverless cars here in Miami. There's no one in the car, and the car is making a left-hand turn at the intersection. Like I see robots delivering food to people. Like the common person, one, doesn't have like a college degree. Two, if they have a college degree, it's not a useful one. Like,
but so the counterpoint to that is that I think what will happen, and I'm going to call this now. This is going to happen is that UBI is going to come out of this.
Okay, universal basic income.
Yep. I that's the only way that this all works is that everyone gets a UBI type thing, and you get to choose. Yeah.
Who pays for it?
Well, the thing is it just becomes it basically is just a self-feeding back system, right? We get UBI.
The only way to fund UBI is to take resources from another state, another country. I don't see how UBI works when
it's recycling.
When you're at near $40 trillion, I don't understand how everybody could still get a basic allowance. You have to take from someone else to fund your needs. Someone has to pay for it. Where's that money come from?
Yeah, okay, so let's explore that, and maybe at a microcosm level or something like that, so we can actually reason about it. So
we have Venezuela that could pay for it. It looks like we may have Iran that could pay for it.
We don't need it. If we can solve the energy is the only limiting thing. Energy is
Venezuela and Iran.
Yeah, oil is part of that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not the end game. nuclear reactors, nuclear fusion,
takes
and
it takes
solar.
approximately 11 years for a Gen 4 nuclear power plant to be stood up. If we don't have 11 years and we're competing with China at a military level, then yeah, we need oil from other nations to fund our needs. There's no way you could give a basic allowance of $2,000 a month to 300 or to let's say to 100 million people every month. You can't do it. That money has to come from somewhere else. That 38 trillion is going to go to 100 trillion. I would say in probably another like 8 years.
Yeah, but you're thinking an old paradigm, right? It's pure capitalism, right? Pure capitalism won't have UBI, right?
We have a
and
government.
I don't think it should.
Let me lower my tone for a second, Sean. We have a government shutdown that seems like it happens every 6 months. You can't ignore that. Where are we going to get the money to pay for that? If they're struggling to figure out what services to cancel between Democrats and Republicans every 6 months, like we're already struggling now. Where's this money going to come from? If they literally have to shut down, federal services, if they tell air traffic controllers, hey, you're not going to get a paycheck, but you're mandated to continue to come to work, and we see patterns like that, that means they struggle to get money. Where is the universal basic income going to come from?
Well, that's the thing is right now that we have this huge generational wealth transfer going on right now, and a lot of that is what's going to fuel is going to VC private markets to fuel the AI research, right? The government is starting to invest in that and is aligned with it, at least now within the Trump administration, right? Like Trump wants to he knows that this is, I'm 100% sure that he knows that this is probably the biggest strategic thing that the U.S. needs to do. Like, and, because of Trump's relation to Elon Musk, his relation to VC, which Elon's got a very great, follow his philosophy about where this is going.
Well, remember they had a spitting abundance. They had a spitting contest, so they don't have the same relationship that they used to. But okay.
Yeah, but the thing is if we can get to a point where resources aren't constrained, because we get out of oil, which is a limited resource that has to be mined, right? So we're talking about nuclear reactors. 100% nuclear has to be part of this. But beyond nuclear, the sun, right? The sun is a huge producer of power. Like it's more power than we can even think about and imagine. It's producing every single day. We just need to find a good way to harness it, and that will come. Like it's coming, and it's self-improving upon itself.
We're going to build a isosphere.
Yeah, maybe they're talking about doing putting plants in space that will then, which SpaceX enables, right? Putting plants in space that will get electricity. The Japanese have actually proposed putting a ring around the moon and then basically beaming energy back to the Earth through that, and building and just dude, there's so much cool stuff.
We beam energy from the sun.
Yeah, but if you collect it and then because you need a harnessing mechanism, right? Sun is just a big reactor in the sky. It needs to be harnessed. It needs to be harnessed, right?
Well, okay.
I don't know. There's science.
What do they beam? Light is light. A laser is still light. Like I don't understand.
No, they convert it to energy and then use microwaves. Same microwaves that are in your microwave. That's a lot of energy. It's causing things to bubble, right?
All right.
And I'm just saying, this is the thing is there's a lot of really cool science, more cool science and cool discovery that this is unlocking that I felt like probably for the last
this is
for most of my life prior to maybe the goals of breaking down the Berlin Wall or whatever, that kind of stuff. And then the 90s and 2000s really about developing the internet and all
and what happened?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think
It
that we're
was the
getting to a
first.
place. Yeah. Well, yeah, and then it came back, and that there will be an AI bubble burst,
Okay, we
guaranteed.
finally agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that. But like the internet, the AI bubble burst didn't break the internet. It just made it streamlined and better, right?
Okay.
And that's what's going to happen. But like I said, is I don't know that if we can now use AI to compound our problem solving capabilities and get to this point, right? I think what will happen is that naturally then we don't need to be worried about taking resources from other countries because we will get so efficient at building out those resources ourselves. The only and the main thing right now are those rare earth minerals that we need, which aren't actually rare. They're just not easily findable in certain places. But and that's why that's a strategic thing. Greenland's a strategic thing. That's probably all fits into it. Alaska is probably a thing. Has huge rare earth mineral reserves that could be tapped into. Um, Again, it's a government getting in the way there because Canada doesn't want to develop shit. Um, but like, if we can solve it so that resources now become extremely abundant, all of the need for wars and going to countries and stuff is gone. Like we've changed the name. Like all of humanity right now, or for the last since its inception has been about food finding, right? And collecting and getting food. We can solve that. We can make food so cheap and abundant to build that no human will go hungry, nothing like that. It'll be just pure thing. Like, and then once you solve that, like if you can, and the energy crisis goes away, if we can solve that with a full breadth approach, and then have AI compound upon itself to solve problems with that, and keep producing efficiencies, we're going to live in a world of mass abundance, mass abundance, and that's really good for humanity. Like, and it will, it potentially has the potential of just destroying the need to have wars and fighting and fighting over resources. Like, yeah, food's mostly solved. There's distribution problems and stuff, but it can get better. Gamler, like we waste a lot of food in the United States that doesn't need to be wasted, just because our systems haven't caught up to technology to make sure it's not wasted and recycled and stuff like that. I actually think too, trash and recycling is going to become massive. Like I wonder how much rare earth minerals and stuff exist in a county dump, like in a dump.
That was the first thing I thought about.
Yeah,
I would say
and
thousands of tons.
tons of it. Like, what
Thousands
if we
of
start
tons.
to, and what if we can develop processes where AI recycles all of that rather than
No,
treating it like
no. I mean the
trash?
way, yeah, but it costs money it costs money to power the tools to sift through all that stuff to
Yeah,
extract, to identify and extract.
but if we
Which
can get to a point where human and energy and actual electrical energy is cheap and efficient, that's not a gate. That's not a bottleneck anymore. That's not a constraint anymore. Like, just go ahead and set up something, build something, do it, set up
no,
the
I
processes.
mean, look, we have what 2 million. I thought we have like 2 million prisoners in the United States. That's free labor, and under the Constitution,
Yeah,
they can't be slaves. We can use them to sift through it.
yeah, but you don't even need that eventually. If we could get robotics, which is another arm that's going, right? That's another bit to this. If we can get robotics going,
I think using slaves is easier.
yeah. Well, and like think about like Mars. Like obviously there's an idea that we could go to Mars and we could try to get humans there and set up a colony. There's also another idea of what if you could just set up a remote mining colony
It's
using
not going to
nothing but
happen.
Optimus robots.
It's not going to happen in our
Well, dream
lifetime.
big, man. We gotta. Well, in our lifetime, yeah.
It's not,
That's the
Mars
thing.
is not going to happen in our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, you've got a kid, like you want to see that their world is going to be awesome, right? And so live in a world where that is going to be the case, because I think it will be. It'll be tough to get us there, and we're going to have to stomach that for the next 10 to 40 years of our lives, right? But then maybe that if we can just get out of our heads and stop concerning ourselves with all of this and start looking at what this technology unlocks, it's a bright future if we get there.
There's a lot of things. Right. A lot of things have to be done. You have to reform who's allowed to vote and put in representatives that makes laws. Because right now we still vote with our feelings instead of using actual logic, facts, data, statistics. From one point of view, already awesome here, but of course should never keep improving. The awesomeness is also not well distributed.
And it can be well distributed, and so we need to. I think what the thing is we solve it here. We get everyone, going, and then we start to export those awesomeness around the world. Like I said, think about Starlink, right? Again, Starlink is something that was started in the United States. It was available here, I think, first, but its initial goal was to provide internet access to remote areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now we've unlocked the internet to everybody on every continent that wants it, as long as their government allows for it, right? And so we've set up this giant network where now that thing that was previously constrained by, so much is now basically you can be anywhere in the world, set up a little dish, get that little dish thing, and you can have access to the internet. And that can be distributed to everyone who wants it. Everyone. And so now you've basically, to Gambler's part, you've spread that awesomeness across the world. You've distributed it. And I'm sure that who cares that some people might not like America, but who cares that we owned it? We've enabled access to billions of people, like the entire globe, in every nook, in every, like you can be on the top of Mount Everest and just bring up your Starlink, and you could do a Zoom chat from the top of Mount Everest, as long as you get your computer up there with you. Like there's so much coolness that's going to come, and I think that I'm going to always operate now that under the assumption that this is going to be the brightest thing that humanity's ever done. It's going to compound. It's not going to destroy us. It's going to empower us, and it's going to allow people to do things that are more, in the end, more fulfilling. Like, I mean, like we think about our jobs as like something we value. We don't value our jobs. We value it because we need money to sustain ourselves. What happens when we don't need that anymore? We don't need the money to sustain ourselves anymore. It's just open. Now we can do what we want. We can explore, we can build, we can create, we can farm, we can, we can do our own, we can just set up backyards of growth and like grow stuff, our own food. Like
you sound like a cult leader. You should be a cult leader.
Yeah.
You sound like Jim Jones.
I'm a cheerleader. Yeah. And this could be painful. I mean, who knows?
Set up your own colony, Sean.
I could be out of a job and totally mess up, and totally be in a tough space in 2-3 years, because software engineering is the first thing that's dropping, right? I'm trying right now very hard to get myself positioned in and go hard into AI, where I get positioned myself as a product, like an actual product engineer, somebody who doesn't work in the code but works at a higher level of execution and thinking about systems of development and getting software out there faster. And honestly, we all should be pivoting that way. Like that's why I'm saying you need to get into agentic stuff. It's the future. It's here. It's not taking over the world tomorrow. You can still write code, but it's not going to be that way forever. Companies are wising up to it. And the thing is whole classes of software systems that are making money right now aren't going to be. There's no reason to pay Salesforce anymore. Yeah. Or there's no reason to, you just build all that yourself the way that you want it for your organization, for your mission. There's no reason to buy these things anymore. We're going to have a mass explosion in software building and discovery that's going to, probably produce, more more money and explosive opportunities for people. So yeah, Gambler, I'm just using that, but like this is the thing I say about Salesforce is like, if you've used it, it's clunky as shit, and it's like bolted on with a bunch of stuff, and it's not very great. Like, I don't think I know people who like using Salesforce. They use it because a company's goal isn't to build a CRM, and they just need something to fill that gap. Well, if the cost of building their own CRM comes down dramatically, companies will just say, do that. Why would I go and pay this? Just build me an asset that I own that does business the exact way I want to do business. And we won't need it anymore. So SaaS, I think, will end up going away. I don't think cloud computing will. Cloud computing will be still there for a very, very, very long time. But SaaS, I think, is going to die as a concept.
No, I still think it's an undertaking. You still got to have to train people on that ERM, right? Is it CRM or ERM?
CRM. Salesforce is CRM. You can get into like
SAP. Is SAP?
Why are we paying ERM? SAP? That's an ERP, enterprise resource planning. But even that, like when I was my first job, we essentially had our own ERP. Like it was all built in house by their engineers. It was purpose built for that particular company, and maybe it wasn't as like flexible as what you can get out of like a SAP type thing. There's also not all this huge cost that's going out to them every month, and huge cost that's going out to pay for it, and then being constrained by what their developers want to work on. That'll be just everyone's experience. We'll just build our own software for complete software suites within an organization. So I don't know, man. I've been preaching for hours, but like, I honestly think like if you get into the agentic stuff, you're going to have a moment where you realize like, oh my gosh, like this is the future. This is actually a more fun way to build software. It's a much more interesting way to build software, and it unlocks more. And if you can get ahead of the curve, you'll keep jobs for a pretty long time. If you stay with what you're doing today, your job's going away.
I know.
Like,
yeah,
and dude, it'll be a lot of fun. Get into it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, maybe are you willing to sit down with me for a couple hours on a Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I've got a hockey. I mean, I could do it Sunday afternoon if you want.
No, I wasn't saying this Saturday or Sunday. I'm just saying on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because
I actually bought the $200 Claude plan now for a monthly Claude plan. I still have Codex. Actually, Codex, the usages are low on the $20 amount, but you can get pretty far on Codex with just a $20 plan.
Oh, I got to take off. I got a office appointment. So
cool.
We'll catch up.
Thanks, Gambler.
All right, Gambler.
Yep.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye. Bye.